Season 1, Episode 3, or Prisoners of Love, was actually a pretty neat little episode. Now, ultimately, there wasn't any giant plot to it, but it was very joyful for me. The sweet episode starts off with Finn and Jake fooling around in the Ice Kingdom, just sledding on a chair, which, although may be questionable, it really suits their personality as they are just there for the adventure, for the fun. So it fits them completely fine. After Finn and Jake are halted by the Ice King because they are fooling around, Ice King is trying to establish his territory while Jake is not really taking it seriously. He even goes as far to call him a big nerd, and Finn compliments Jake on it. It's not really a huge funny moment, but a neat little gag that I find myself smiling at from time to time. The boys at this point push Ice King beyond his limits, and he ends up freezing them and kidnapping them and throwing them into ice jail. This is where I come to the first issue. Ice King claims that there is 6 princesses in that jail when there is actually 7. However, there are 6 new characters. These characters are Ghost Princess, Emerald Princess, Wildberry Princess, Hot Dog Princess, Slime Princess, and Raggedy Princess. And then for the 7th princess that's there, that wasn't really acknowledged, I assume, because she's the most repulsive of them all, we got Lumpy Space Princess. Ugh. Now, despite LSP actually being in this episode, she doesn't have much dialogue, so I don't have to spend most of the episode picking on her, so it saves me a lot of trouble. But Ice King claims that he kidnapped all these princesses so he could potentially marry one of them. My question to this is, A, why would you kidnap LSP? Out of anyone, LSP is like super repulsive, so that should be like a last resort. Bubblegum is probably one of the better princesses of the series, and she's not here. So, LSP being here doesn't make much sense to me. Next we have Ghost Princess. So B, Ghost Princess. Why is she here? She's dead. Why would you want to basically marry something that doesn't physically exist? Such as the wonders of Ice King. And then we also got Hot Dog Princess, which she's physical and she's not super repulsive, but she's a hot dog. That's a little bit weird. But then the other 4 are a little bit less weird. I mean, the only one who's remotely weird outside of the 3 I just mentioned was Slime Princess, but Slime Princess is here nor there, so I guess it's alright. However, Emerald, Wildberry, and Raggedy Princess make a little bit of sense. They're not the best people around, but they're certainly alright. And I guess I see this scenario 2 ways with the 7 princesses. One reason being that it really explains how desperate Ice King really is to marry somebody. It really adds to his character. You know, he's looking for love, and nothing he's doing is working for him. So he's picking even the worst people to kidnap to potentially figure out what love is. It's kind of sweet of him, but he's really expressing himself in a disturbing way by kidnapping 7 people. But another question I have to this is, how did they get kidnapped? It wasn't really alluded in the story about how they got kidnapped individually. Did he freeze all 7 of them and throw them in jail like they did to Finn and Jake? I don't know. It wasn't said at all, and although it's a minor nitpick because this isn't supposed to be a heavy plot series at this point in time, still, something I would have wished I knew. But you know what, it's, as I said, it's kind of a minor nitpick. So far this episode is still pretty good. Let's continue. After some exchange between Finn and Ice King, Finn attempts to act upon him threatening the princesses, and throws his flute for some reason, which fails miserably, but that's to be predicted because it's a flute. You can't really do much with a flute. It could hurt somebody, but it just broke. Jake thinks resourcefully afterwards and just makes his hand into a key hand, except Ice King freezes Jake, and Finn's thinking that Jake's frozen completely. So then, in a frothing rage, he's ready to beat the snot out of Ice King. But turns out Jake's alive, which is pretty good. After all that action between Finn and Ice King, Finn's completely calmed down and knowing that Jake is fine. And instead, Ice King wants Wildberry Princess to play the keyboard while he goes crazy on his drums. He hands instruments to everyone else and has at it. There's a little bit of a gag that happens when Ice King is playing his drums as he goes absolutely crazy and just ends up knocking down all his drums. It's not a serious gag, but you know, it's a little bit funny. So that's pretty good. While everyone's distracted playing instruments and whatnot, Finn and Jake are concocting a plan so Finn can manipulate the Ice King into thinking that they're enjoying it. Once Ice King actually sees that everyone's enjoying themselves, he wants to join in, and after being invited, Finn immediately beats the snot out of him. He's ready to take out Ice King. In fact, Ice King gets knocked unconscious, which puts him in a dream with a character that we don't know of. He's questioning why people don't even like him, and he takes into account that it might be his beard or his use of magic, but doesn't take into account that he is kidnapping princesses. And once he encounters this character, he accuses this owl thing of being a big nerd. And afterwards, he wakes up with his penguins surrounding him, and everyone's escaped at this point. And the episode concludes with a little bit of a gag where Slime Princess wants to marry Finn, and Jake just tells Slime Princess that Finn pees himself. Even though I doubt it's true, because Finn didn't show any signs of being embarrassed rather than just teased, it was a pretty nice little gag to end a pretty good episode overall.